Hi everyone! In this week's video, I'm sharing tips for translating simple sketches into a stylized illustration for your portfolio or for your prints, but mainly, really, to expand your joy with your personalized art. I'll begin in Procreate with this sketch that you just saw me create. Stay till the end. I'll share 3 extra sketches of vignettes in my neighborhood that I hope inspire you to take a slow walk in your neighborhood with your camera. What I'm doing right now is I am using the S tool in the upper left-hand corner. You can see I have freehand selected below. I'm drawing a selection around one part of my sketch. And I'm going to swipe 3 fingers and hit cut and paste, and then that section of the artwork will be placed on its own layer. So I'm doing this 3 times around the sketch, and the reason I want to do this is I can isolate these different parts and then increase or decrease the size, make something more prominent if I want to. I'm basically using the ideas that I took, and now I'm going to turn them into something that's more visually pleasing for me. So the first thing I'm sketching is the castle. I'm using the 6B pencil, which is under sketching, and I like it because it kind of gives it a childlike feel and keeps that sketchiness that I really like. I'm using a toned, darker red, and that is because I just absolutely love outlining in red. Now I'm adjusting another section of the artwork. I really liked this one house that was to the right. I'm on an overlook looking at the scene in my neighborhood, and the castle is ahead of me on the hill, and then this beautiful villa is to my right. And in my sketch, I just placed it in my little scene, but for this particular art, I want to have it be more prominent and in the foreground. I'm translating just a couple of the details on this house, the cupola that I'm drawing in, and then the tile work around the window. Even though the wall on the house isn't as rounded as my illustration, I liked that look and it echoes the hills in the background. Now I'm just tracing over some of the other buildings and I'll place them around the canvas. And what I love about the app is I will be changing my mind later, and so everything is on its own layer so that I can do that easily. Keeping things simple is really great, especially if you're working by hand and you don't have an iPad or the Procreate app. So I highly encourage you to just be patient with yourself. It would have taken me several passes to do this and lots of erasing. Now, one way that I like to personalize artwork is to use words in it, and so these are the kinds of things that I encourage you to think about, little motifs. Like I love using spiders in my artwork, and eventually I will remove the spider from this particular artwork, but I think it's important to draw on the things that we love to use, and if it fits, it fits, but if it doesn't, we're not super attached to it. So here you can see that I'm trying to figure out, okay, I want there to be an artist drawing the scene the way I was drawing the scene, and I'm trying to figure out, what's her seated position. Characters aren't easy, even the most simple ones. You have to get the body right and the angles correct, and so here I'm just working it out, and I'm just going to show you the process so you can see that it takes several tries for me, and that's perfectly normal if it takes several tries for you as well. So I flipped the orientation. Now she's actually on the right and the house is on the left, and I just feel like this works a lot better. Now in real life the house was on my right, so when it comes to art, it's all about, the composition and how it feels and if it works visually for you. My character felt a little stiff to me, so I took a photo of myself with my legs crossed just to give my character a little more of a casual and a little more of an interesting pose. So here I'm just trying to get the angle right and the leg crossed. So I could have traced myself too. What I like about just looking at what I'm doing and not tracing it is that it just sort of feels like it has my artistic hand in it a little bit more. You've noticed I made the first layer, so the background layer is pink, and the reason I did that is because now that I'm adding color with a 6B pencil, I'm leaving little gaps so you can see the pink coming through, and to me that just creates a little more depth and interest. Also, the sketching layer, I turned the opacity way down, so just the actual line drawing of it. And this is a way for me to create a little more line interest. So what I mean by that is I'm leaving bigger gaps in some places. I'm not going to necessarily fill in the gaps that you see like between the red spaces. And then once I bring that line drawing back in, it will cover some of it, but some of it's still going to come through. So again, it's just another way to keep the little lines a little more interesting, and it just keeps the eye moving. I really believe in the power of less is more with colors, and I'll say this in so many of my videos, a limited color palette, in my opinion, just makes a stronger overall artwork. And so you'll see that I'm using lighter versions of colors that I've already used. So for example, the red of the castle, I just use a darkened version of one of the walls to make it a little bit darker. So it's in the same color family, just has a little more black in it. The pink in the little house that I just did is just a lighter version of the pink of the background. So it's either lighter or darker colors, but in the same family. And same with the green that I'm using now. It's just a little bit lighter version of that darker green, and you can see it has quite a bit of blue in it. As I sat there drawing, a woman came out of that house that I really liked that was on my right. And what I love about Portugal the most are the people that live here. Everybody is incredibly friendly. Everybody greets you in the morning with a bom dia. And this woman asked me if everything was good. Todo bem? She asked, and I said, todo muito bem. You know, everything is really good. Life is very sweet, and I just so appreciate my neighbors. I wanted to also show you just a few very simple sketches of some photos that I took of, I call them vignettes here in my neighborhood, and I just feel like there's so many cool patterns and angles and interesting things. And I know that every neighborhood all over the world, there are these little vignettes, and it just takes us noticing and slowing down a little bit. And I think that that's just really a gift that Portugal has given me, is how much more my life has slowed down. I thought it was pretty slow paced already, but I really enjoy taking my time and taking time with my camera, just to take those photos. So I encourage you to do the same thing. You never know what kind of artwork you will create, and it will feel very personal because it will be something that drew your attention. And I love seeing art that's really personalized from other artists. Okay, you guys, have a great week. Happy creating, everyone. Thank you again for watching, and enjoy.